that's been updated, and also use that hashtag WGLNA to answer the question of the day. David, what is that question?
Who are your top picks for this season's finals? As I always say, we've already answered. Getting late in the show. We want to hear your answers. Maybe that's going to change throughout, so go ahead and tweet more than once if you want to.
Absolutely. Now, our next matchup, coming right up, High Voltage versus Team Refuse. Now, David, correct me if I'm wrong, both of these teams haven't lost a single match. Am I correct?
I believe so.
Okay, so this is a pretty deciding game here, and obviously, like you said, you're going to go with High Voltage. So tell me, just kind of walk me through why. Why High Voltage over Refuse? I mean, both teams looking strong so far.
Well, as we've said before, Refuse is formerly known as top tier. They've been a good team in the past, but I don't think they've ever been as good of a team as High Voltage looks like they are so far this season. So it's important for High Voltage to demonstrate that they can still perform at that level against teams of a higher caliber than perhaps they have faced throughout. However, High Voltage, like I said, it's just I don't think we're going to see them slow their roll anytime soon. It doesn't look it's got an all-star team.
Sure.
I mean,
cherry-picked professionals.
Yeah, that actually, and they're not just picked because they have good stats or they're good players, but they actually like each other. On top of that,
that's great.
They respect each other, and that's one of the most important parts. You have a team dynamic that strong.
Yeah.
It's going to be really hard to tackle them as the season goes on. I mean, the only real test I've yet to see, well, two. They haven't played a team like Elevate yet.
Okay.
But other than that, they haven't lost. And that's one of the biggest things.
And let's go with these rosters, like you were saying. Both these teams, High Voltage, Tofu, Smurf, Feds, Oxmathis, coming here, Angry White Guy. Again, all these teams putting out a lot. Drogon is what I'm really looking for as the side of Refuse, trying to get some points up here. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we are into our second matchup of the night: High Voltage versus Team Refuse. David, what do we got for our initial lineup for tanks?
For High Voltage, we have 2 IS-3s, 4 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Refuse is a T-32, 5 T-54 lightweights, and a T-21, and the map is Steps.
Yeah.
Both teams have very solid lineups for what they're running, or for the map that they're playing. So it's going to come down to pure strategy. I expect to see, well, now it's fairly obvious, High Voltage going east, perhaps controlling a little bit of mid-play. I think that would be stellar, as a lot of teams kind of neglect that part of the map. If you ask me, it's very strong. Wallhacks and Anfield beginning to head into the east. They could easily create a kind of a situation, as we've seen in the past with Elevate, where they just draw their opponent to them and outplay them. And that is a great test for a team like High Voltage in this kind of situation.
Something that I actually haven't seen a lot. We have these 4 tanks of High Voltage just rushing straight across the E line. It looked like coming out from that center road, and taking a little bit of damage as he came on through for the side of Refuse. Interesting enough, though, Refuse Gaming, I saw Cool Hammer, Sublime Banana. They were shooting. Taking shots over on that side. I'm pretty sure it's blind fire, but almost a great prediction because High Voltage came from that exact area. Now it seems as if the attention has been turned over to this eastern cap here on the side of High Voltage. What lineup what positioning are you favoring right now as far as tanks go? Refuse or High Voltage in the current setup?
Refuse has the advantage here, if you ask me. As long as they know how to collapse on these tanks. And they don't really have to at the moment. Doing a little bit of scouting with Rude Awakening, you can see on the minimap to try and find that. Actually, him and Angry Guy are about to go at it. I hope. This could be awesome.
Yeah, let's see, the T-21 against this T-37 coming in. They're both stopping on the side. Angry White Guy now heading out, but he does have some backup as Heavy 20 and Blue Boys Captain are going to come support their teammate here. Rude Awakening might be it for Rude Awakening here, as he's going to get surrounded here right in the center. They're going around, shots coming out. The first one missing. Rude Awakening now knows he's in trouble. He's starting to get out of there. Memory leak, going to go and try to respond, but it is absolutely over for Rude Awakening there, as Heavy 20 picking him up. An amazing collapse for High Voltage there against that center tank all by himself. A great pickup against Refuse Gaming.
Now, one of the things is it's kind of a fine line that you're trying to toe there in the kind of situation that Rude Awakening was in. So he knew that Angry Guy was there. He has changed his name, by the way. He knew that Angry Guy was there. He knew Angry Guy saw him. So he didn't want to poke out and let him shoot him. But in doing so, he stayed behind the rock way too long, and he allowed Heavy 20 and Blue Boys to jump right on top of his face. By the time he realized it was there, it was, as you said, a very rude awakening to the fact that there were more tanks. Refuse taking advantage of the situation, pushing down in the southeast.
Yeah, this is amazing. They're coming around. They're going to try to collapse on these members, these 4 members in these IS-3s, T-54s against high voltage. Some good damage coming across Alex Mathis. Was on the reload. Ampro getting 250 points, dropping below half here. Member of the league and E63 going to come back and join their team. Sublime Banana finding Ampro in that T-54, and a 1-for-1 exchange now. High voltage Refuse Gaming, both 1 tank down, but Drogon taking a good chunk of damage back there in that T-54 lightweight. Blue Boys captain coming in, and now E63 looks like he's a target. A lot of fires going back and forth here. An amazing shot right in the middle. Alex Mathis Pro getting dropped down extremely. He's got out there. He doesn't make it. Member League picks him up in time, but now High Voltage is looking for KT. Angry Guy getting a shot now back from the side. He's going to the side. Cool Hammer. Gonna look like he was going for the ram, but Wall Hack picking KT. Drogon picking up Angry White Guy. Back and forth now, but in favor of Refuse Gaming. This is E63 on the run again from Heavy 20. Blue Boys trying to get a shot off, but gets taken down before he can. Memory League not going to make it out of there, and now High Voltage dropping to the members of Refuse Gaming. A great brawl happening on the side. Anvil picking up Cool Hammer. Now 1 member remains in an IS-3 against 3 members of Refuse Gaming. Not sure what can happen here, but High Voltage not looking like in a good position. A lot of damage coming through. This is not looking good, and Refuse Gaming taking the first. Sublime Banana finding Wall Hacks in the end. An early pickup for Refuse Gaming. Now, David, walk me through what happened there, because they got a nice, High Voltage got a nice pick in the center there. But Refuse Gaming looked like they responded. Walk me through kind of the mentality there and how well they executed that.
I mean, that's a classic trade situation. Trying to make the best of what happened, or perhaps even by design. I don't think it was by design, but there are situations like Rude Awakening, I believe, is the caller, or I know he is involved in strategy to some degree.
Okay.
And as a scout, as a person who used to call battles and scout at the same time, it's a decision you make fairly often when you're like, I'm going to go over here and see what's here.
Yeah.
And now, worst case is I get annihilated by 3 tanks. But if that happens, I already know what I want to do, because 3 tanks here means there are 3 less tanks over there.
Sure.
And that is one of the best situations you can be in. So Refuse taking great advantage of what happened, moving in to push out the lower numbers of High Voltage where they were. Let's go to stats real quick before this next battle starts. Sublime Banana with nearly 2,000 damage, really working that T-32. I saw a number of times his hull down position causing significant problems for High Voltage. And then Cool Hammer, also nearly 2,000, a T-54 lightweight. That is not a small number in that thing. Meanwhile, mostly the T-54s for High Voltage just really not getting into a significant position to do a lot of damage, with 2 of their more important T-54s being out of position from taking out that T-37. You could argue, I guess, that perhaps they spent too much hardware for 1 tank, but
Sure.
I mean, he really only needed 1 tank for backup. But it's kind of a security thing. They just need to make sure, and they learn these lessons quickly, I would expect. I know the players do, at least. Now, whether they can do it as a team is a different thing. But they learn, okay, next time we put that many tanks in that kind of situation, we need to make sure we have some sort of backup plan. You know, maybe pull up one of the T-54 lightweights in the middle instead of sending them on such a long path around the outside.
Sure.
There's a lot of different things they could have done, but really largely getting bullied by that T-32, if you ask me. It's a very strong tank on that map, and there's only a couple different ways you can get it to go broadside turret to you, and that's what you want in order to take him out. Again, kind of complicated, but I believe the battle is already starting, so we can see if High Voltage comes back from this.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. As David said, let's see if they can go ahead and respond from this first battle on the match 2, High Voltage versus Refuse Gaming. David, what do we got for tanks?
6 T-54 lightweights for High Voltage and an M44. Strong offense, if you ask me. Let's see what they do with it. Refuse Gaming a T-32, 5 T-54 lightweights, and a T-21. So obviously they're concerned with that T-32, as we were discussing. And they're here to take him out and try and bully Refuse into stop using him. We've seen Ox Mathis do great work in his artillery before. But this is kind of risky. Now, with High Voltage coming out this way, going in the northwest, which is the obvious place for artillery, if you ask me, there is a chance they could try and do this new boost that everybody's doing, where they go into the A1-2 area. It's a very strong position. I'm torn on it because it's so extremely open to the defense. The defense can ruin you for trying it. But if you see a moment where you can pull that off, I would say go for it. But as it is right now, both teams going into relatively static positions. High Voltage does not look like they're going for the boost, which is probably a good thing for them if you ask me. Not a lot happening so far, though.
Another question I have about that new boost we've been seeing up at that A1, B1 line, bringing an artillery to that fight. Oh,
they are boosting.
They are doing it. It looks like, ladies and gentlemen, this is the new boost on steps that you were seeing here at the WGLNA. This spot is amazing, and it looks like they're going to try and get Ox Mathis up on top in that artillery. An amazing position for such an awesome, some amazing shots there if you have some good coverage. And it looks like Refuse are none the wiser. No one is moving. No one is responding to this. And if they can get Ox Mathis up, he's so close. He just needs a little more push. They're trying.
Look at all their guns.
All of the turrets face to the single side.
Everybody ready to fire the instant they get spotted. They've seen how this pans out. If somebody lights them right now, they will lose one tank if Refuse Gaming is waiting for it. But apparently they are not privy to this.
He's up.
And he's up, and that is a great position for an M44. They don't have to worry about babysitting him now. Considering Refuse's response to that, I don't even know if they know
what's happening.
Like that he could possibly be up there.
Sure. Like we're talking about, I mean, we've seen some T-54s, we've seen some T-32s up there, but having an artillery up there, like you're saying, it does kind of take the weight off of him, being so squishy, being so low armor, low health, to just be in such a sweet position to not have anyone really be able to respond to you. I can't wait to see how this kind of fleshes out on the side of High Voltage. Rude Awakening there down in the south. Now, on the side of Refuse, if they haven't seen a lot happening over on this eastern side, obviously they know something's got to be happening in the west. We did say that this favors defense, but with Ox Mathis up there, what do you think Refuse has to do to make sure that they can safely now respond to the cap pressure that High Voltage is applying?
They don't really have a choice now. They have to start poking. They're not in a position to do anything else. They could perhaps come out from the south side. They do have enough light tanks to pull it off, which is one of the things I like about their lineup. But as it stands right now, I don't know if they're going for it. They're going to be lit by Blue Boys as they poke, or Wall Hacks, who's in a great position for it. Anfield's on cap. Several tanks back in some very defensive positions to make sure not only that people aren't coming through the middle or the rear, but they're not able to shoot them. Ox Mathis, you make contact with that one? It does not look like it. It's only a matter of time, though. He'll hit one of them.
Yeah, Cool Hammer taking about 250 points of damage as he pops up in that T-54 from Blue Boys on top of the hill. Again, another great position. Over on the south, we see Rude Awakening about to meet up with Memory Leak as they're going to hopefully try to get up. 15 seconds remaining on this cap. Now that is some pressure that Refuse Gaming has to respond, and they have to respond quickly. Antleak Pro taking a little bit of damage. Sublime Banana missing his blind shots onto their 8 seconds now remaining. It looks like KT in the T-54 is going to be the one to try to move over and make sure that this is what's going to be done. He takes a little bit of damage. The High Voltage abandons the cap. Anfield backing off. Cap pressure has successfully been avoided. So this is good time bot for Refuse Gaming. And Anfield taking a lot of damage from the side of High Voltage. He does not make it. Cool Hammer picks him up before he can find cover. A good pickup for Refuse Gaming here. And now we're looking at this battle going on over down the south. Rude Awakening against these two members, Tofu Smurf and Heavy 20, just taking him down, trying to finish him off. It looks like they will. Heavy 20 finding Rude Awakening. Memory Leak backing out as Wall Hacks. A 1-for-1. Good answer for High Voltage. Ox Mathis, though, still up in that sweet, sweet spot with the Artie. Kind of a reset happening here as we have a breath. David, walk me through kind of what that little skirmish favored is. We only have 2 minutes and 10 seconds left on the clock.
It looks like a failed strategy, if you ask me. They were banking on some things that just didn't happen. There's actually an isolation on Memory Leak here in the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. Memory Leak trying to run away from these two members of High Voltage, Wall Hacks and Heavy 20, trying to make it back to his team. Drogon, E63 coming down to help him out. Cool Hammer now there to back him up. But Ox Mathis with an amazing pickup on that Artie on the run. A beautiful shot in that M44. My goodness, I can't wait to watch that one back. Wall Hacks now looks like he's in a little bit of trouble as we have the rest of the team from Refuse Gaming going to try to go ahead and surround him. And we have a brawl going on here. Blue Boys gonna respond. Tofu Smurf coming in, taking the shots. Drogon backing out of there, getting a lot of damage down. He's one more shot. He needs to find some cover and find it quickly. Let's see if he can make it out. He does, but another shot. No, he does not. Heavy 20 finding that kill, and then another shot from that T-54. Cool Hammer trying to back out, not doing a lot for his team. Heavy 20 again finding E63. 2 members going down, 3 remaining on the side of Refuse Gaming. KT gonna try to respond by getting Tofu Surf, but I'm not sure it's gonna be enough as Ampro finds KT in a good response, and now just 2 remain against the 3 on the board, but the 4 of High Voltage. This 3v2 going on. A Cool Hammer gonna get taken down by Blue Boys. Sublime Banana gonna be the last one. Let's see if Oxmathis can get a sweet shot as he's just sitting there, not moving. Who's it gonna be? It's on the reload. Let's see if he can get it. Oh, just misses it. But let's see who is gonna respond. Blue Boys picking up, and High Voltage, a great victory. Good response on that map of steps. David, walking through all the craziness that happened here, I mean, we got Oxmathis in a beautiful spot, getting a killer shot on a tank on the move on the way down. I mean, walk me through your thoughts on that, because that was amazing.
I mean, you called Oxmathis getting the shot, and in my head, I thought immediately, I was like, no, he didn't. Oh, he did. It's like, what just happened? I mean, even taking that shot, I don't know. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's go to stats real quick, because this paints a pretty clear picture. Now, I may have been getting ahead of myself, calling it perhaps a failed strategy, but they really did a lot more damage after they abandoned whatever they were doing in the north. They got that pick on Memory Leak and it set everything off. Blue Boys, from where he was, I think everybody knew he was going to put up some numbers from that position. Nearly 2,400. Heavy 20, nearly 2,400. Thanks, guys. You're both on my fantasy team. M44 Oxmathis, 7 shots, 3 hits, of which 2 penetrated, and 2 splash. Now, I'd be really interested to see how many of the shots that he fired were heat shells as opposed to HE shells, but no real way of knowing that from our perspective at this point in time. Wall hacks with another 1K. The only person who's really putting up big numbers for Refuse here is Cool Hammer and his T-54 lightweight. Very good numbers from that. Their T-32 this time, Sublime Banana, shut down. And if you ask me, out of everything, that's the biggest difference between the 2 battles. I mean, obviously, High Voltage got a pick to start off kind of the main engagement, and that's pretty huge. But shutting down that T-32 enabled the rest of their tanks to get into the fight and just have actual fair combat. And from there, they ran away with it.
Yeah, and it was so fun to watch that push, the new sort of tank train going up in that upper thing, Oxmathis and the M44. Now we're going to be switching sides, so we're going to have High Voltage on the defense. I can't wait to see if they're going to try to put a train also in the typical defensive positions. But we did say that this map favors defense, so looking pretty good for High Voltage here coming up.
It does.
But with the new spot?
Well, with the new spot, it still does, because there are things you can do to make sure that you spot people trying to do that, and then they pay for it a bit too much. What'll really be interesting is how well that shakes out in the meta as things go forward. But we can talk about that a little later. I think the battle's getting ready to kick off.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, to our 3rd battle of the night, High Voltage versus Refuse Gaming. Let's take a look at what do we got for the tank lineups. David, walk us through it.
High Voltage with a T-32, a Wk2 51, 4 T-54 lightweights, and an AMX-12T. That is a strong lineup against what they're facing, which is 6 T-54 lightweights and an AMX-12T. Wow. I approve of the scout choice of both sides. A lot of people hate on the 12T. I think it's incredible for this kind of situation. T-37 having some of its own benefits. But right now, match just getting underway. Anfield and company spreading out for what looks like a fairly normal northeastern cap defense, doing a little bit of scouting going down the line, making sure nope, they're pulling back as it is. Refuse Gaming just going hardcore into the northwest. I wonder if they could possibly know about the boost and they're going to try it. That would be most interesting to me, because we would see if High Voltage had an answer for it already. I bet you they do. I mean, you typically don't do something you don't know how to stop most of the time.
And like you're saying, Refuse Gaming putting everything they've got, all their resources on this western cap here. Taking some shots, going back and forth, all being blind fired. No one spotted yet. Seeing if they can pick up anyone in some typical spots that other tanks will hit. Angry Guy, though, taking about 100 points of damage from these T-54 lineups. Now, David, talk to me about why so many T-54s on the side of Refuse being attacked. Now, we've seen T54 as being a very mobile tank. Do you think they're going to try to use this to maybe flex, or just are we seeing just a kind of an all one cap strategy?
They're just kind of a jack of all trades, the T54s. They're just a lighter, faster version of what the IS-3 is used for, which again is kind of a jack of all trades situation. They're, like you said, they're trying to stay very light, dynamic, and not be predictable. Typically, if you bring something like IS-3s, any sort of heavy tank on this kind of map, as soon as you see where the IS-3s are, you know they're not going anywhere else particularly quickly. When you have this many T-54s, when you're on defense, there's always something in the back of your mind where you're like, well, even if we see one, that doesn't mean, or we saw him 20, 30 seconds ago, that does not in any way mean he's still there. Because those tanks move pretty quick, they can get across the map. As you were saying before, Angry Guy taking a little bit of damage. I believe that was actually Rude Awakening, as his tank is what is more likely to do about 122 damage is what I'm seeing here, connecting one shot out of 12. Not bad. I didn't exactly see the angles that he had. Perhaps picked up 299 coming out from what looked like Blue Boys or Heavy 20. That he's going to be stuck where he is now.
Yeah, Rude Awakening just sitting there by the gap, trying to hold down behind what shelter he could find on that western cap. Cool Hammer in a good little position up on the hill. We've seen pretty typically as they're trying to go and push against this western side, a little bit of defense. But time ticking down. No pressure yet as far as Refuse Gaming putting its High Voltage. High Voltage is just sitting, not rushing, not doing anything, waiting for the information to come through, seeming like they're not worried at all.
Got a southern flank developing, what I see, which wouldn't be too bad. Those T-54s in the north can run away fairly easy, one of the additional benefits in the event that High Voltage wanted to push at them, which would give the rest of Refuse Gaming a clear cap to take advantage of. So this is not a bad plan whatsoever. Refuse doing some impressive stuff here. Let's see if they actually pull that flank off. I'm really curious to see what their trigger is. What's going to make them decide to make this push happen?
Let's see, as we have a lot of shots going back and forth between both these teams in positions where people are spotted. Anfield, E63, and Cool Hammer all spotted on the side of both of these teams, Blue Boys as well. Memory League in a position, just getting shots off. Something a little bit of points of damage, but 239 points of damage going across there for wall hacks in that T-54 lightweight. Now Cool Hammer, Rude Awakening backing off. Very spread out though on the side of Refuse Gaming.
This would make a lot of sense. Oh no, they're not doing it. They're not doing it. I was really hoping they would put Rude on the cap, which would draw a lot of the attention from High Voltage to face that, giving them an opening to perhaps push these T-54s that were in the south. It's not, I can't say for certain that it's a great strategy, but it is a interesting one. If they had refined it a little bit, it very likely could have worked. Perhaps they are thinking about it again, but that moment has come and gone. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. They need to make up their mind on what they're doing. They're clearly having some sort of team debate, if you ask me. A little bit more coming south. Maybe they're going to pull it off, what I'm talking about. It's going to be very late, though. And if High Voltage just pushes across the northwest, there's not a lot to stop them from just running away with Angry Guy or any of those people and drawing out to their advantage. I mean, they win if it's on defense, but drawing out Refuse to chase them and running away with somebody to make sure they stay alive, that is assuming they even lose this battle, which I don't know if they're going to. Some sort of distraction needs to be made. They're kicking off right now.
Yeah, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The T-54 Memory League coming in against some damage going through on wall hacks. Really popping out maybe a little too far as he takes some damage. Not putting, getting some damage on Anfield, though. A good little trade back and forth between these two medium and light tanks. Anfield going through, and the flank has begun. Drogon going through, trying to get some shots off, nothing connecting. KT getting some damage back himself, as we see both these caps going through. High Voltage coming through, 1 minute and 35 left. Refuse Gaming need to do something. The cap now no longer seems is their goal. They're just going to try to get some cleanups here, and everyone starting to collapse. Drogon getting a good amount of damage going through. Dazzling Time getting some damage return. Heavy 20 though dropping below half. Memory League up on top. Cool Hammer, there's battles going around all across the side. Drogon getting extremely low. Cool Hammer going to find the first tank of the match, Angry Guy, but High Voltage wall hacks going to respond by taking down Memory League in a 1-for-1 exchange. Cool Hammer and Heavy 20 getting some good damage on each other on the run, but Dazzling Time finding wall hacks. Heavy 20 and Blue Boys capping them back-to-back kills on the side of High Voltage. Gating, it is now exploding, ladies and gentlemen, back and forth. 1 minute remain on the clock, but High High Woltage, look at, they're just cleaning this one up. Heavy 20 finding Rude Awakening. Only 2 members remain for Refuse Gaming. It exploded, and it exploded hard. And High Woltage just cleaning up these 2 remaining tanks. E63 and the T54. He's one more shot. Ox Mathis will find him. Anfield now picking apart the last member, KT, who can't go anywhere. Let's see if she can try to find Ox Mathis. She does, but Anfield gonna respond. Another victory for High Voltage. They're coming out on steps, 2-1. David, walk me through looking at Refuse's gaming. Like you said, it seemed like they killed so much time, and on a map like Steps, which does sort of favor defense, I mean, that's not a good thing to do. I was interested. You said something about maybe a team debate going on there. Maybe, you know, you had some people going south, some people staying north. What happens there, or why would that pop up?
So that's not necessarily kind of how a team debate plays out in a game like Tanks, where you have people going different directions, and then they're like, no, we should go this way or that way. It's more they get a certain amount of information, and they're starting to discuss where they think an opening is, and maybe somebody puts forward that there is an opening in the south. Yeah. We just heard Refuse taking a timeout, so perhaps they're trying to kind of dwell on how to get this next strategy. I don't think they want to go down 3-1 this quickly.
Right.
Who does?
I don't think they want to lose.
But really, you know, just checking out the stats here, it makes kind of a clear picture. Overall, not a huge difference in the numbers coming out.
Sure.
But for High Voltage, the numbers are much more evenly distributed, and in a couple places larger. Not in a lot, but those little differences add up. I don't think that Refuse was out of position or out of time. I think there was a chance that they could have actually succeeded coming in that late overall.
Sure.
But as it was in that situation, yes, you're right. Delaying that long is not necessarily a good idea. At any moment in time, I saw, and this could have come into play. So say Refuse did win that tank-on-tank fight, which they didn't.
Right.
For obvious reasons, if you ask me, a hit point disparity with T32 versus a bunch of T54s and whatnot, not getting a solid grab, a solid pick to start it all off. But near the end, as it started getting a little bit closer, but High Voltage still had a clear lead. If you could see it from above, I noticed Blue Boys was starting to pull away a little bit in his Wk2, a very fast light tank once it gets up to speed. So he's starting to distance himself from the rest of Refuse Gaming. And some sort of magic happens, and Refuse beats the rest of his team. Blue is ready to run. Right. So he was just pulling back a little bit and still sniping, but that's high-level play.
Sure.
Making sure that you are ready to make sure you seal the win.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point in time, and 20 seconds left on the clock, if he's already going full speed into the west, it doesn't matter. You can't catch him. You certainly can't kill him at that point in time. Right. He's very low on hit points. All around, just pretty solid play from High Voltage. I think, like we were talking about before, that Refuse could have set up that attack a little bit better. Bring those tanks around the south and just pushing them in.
Okay.
They get spotted because there's no real distraction, no draw.
Right.
Had they put a little bit of cap pressure on or done it the first time we were talking about it when the timing was much better for it, they may have been able to catch that T32 broadside, put a lot of damage into his turret and kind of make him timid, or find something else to isolate. But just it's a rough fight. I mean, as we said, Steps is in the hands of the defender for the most part, and you do the best you can. But one of their biggest mistakes here overall was letting High Voltage get a win when they were defending, and now they have to make it matter right now, or the next map they're going into, if High Voltage gets 2 defenses, it's over.
Right. And so, also, unless they can pull, again, an Elevate versus Sim from last Thursday, not looking too good. But let's see if Refuse Gaming can hold this one out against High Voltage. Ladies and gentlemen, we're into our next battle. We have High Voltage on the defense, Refuse Gaming on the attack again. And David, what are you seeing in the tanks?
High Voltage, same lineup, a T32, Wk2, 4 T54 lightweights, and an AMX-12T. And again, same lineup for Refuse, 6 T54 lightweights and AMX-12T. Not a bad lineup objectively. However, the way it's being used, perhaps a bad lineup. I don't know. Maybe you could squeeze in an IS-3 or 2. Like I said, you start telegraphing where you're going at that point in time. Oh, and High Voltage. Loving these tank trains, putting in another boost and sending Angry Guy all the way northwest to kind of panic Refuse, I think, make them think they were spotted. Or no, actually, he's sitting in a bush, but we'll check that out here in a second. That is a really risky move. They may be getting up Angry Guy immediately here, but Blue Boys and his Ru251 already getting boosted up. The rest of the team dispersing. Angry Guy, let's check him out really quickly.
Yeah, I also want to talk about just the idea that High Woltage is doing, because obviously with Blue Boys on top of that boosted position, it does not typically favor when the Refuse Gaming goes against the Western Cap. But what are you seeing over there in that bush? Ooh,
there we
go.
go.
Angry Tony getting some damage, 250 in fact on the AMX-12T. There's another shot. Cool Hammer going out. This does not look good for Angry Guy. Not quite sure what it is. Memory leak, maybe trying to get him from the side, going around, turning around. Angry Guy still not technically spotted. Maybe they just decided to give up on shooting him in there.
No, so they know by the angles that they're getting spotted, and it's very likely from this one bush. So they sent a couple blind shots in there, hoping to panic him and maybe make a move. 2 going directly over his head, 2 connecting him. But Angry Guy, with incredible discipline, staying where he is under fire. He is a little bit exposed, though, and he could be spotted by E63 M6. Either way, he's not going to last very long here once some people get a little bit further past him. Not entirely sure E63 is going to get the right angle to see him. Either way, incredible discipline under fire. Looked like Refuse Gaming moved on to other bushes, and they're probably scratching their heads right now. And the best part about stuff like this, when you're in High Voltage's shoes, is that Refuse is spending so much time worrying about this, and anytime you get something that kind of throws a curveball at the other team, it throws them off kilter. And they're just like, what? Where could he possibly
we shot 2
be?
shots. Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Perhaps they thought they shot 3 into the bush, but one went a little high. Eventually he's going to get spotted, but for now, doing more than enough in his current position.
Absolutely. It looks like he is just sitting there bobbing amongst a tank full of sharks, but holding his ground, not revealing his position. One more shot away, not getting a single shot out like Dave was talking about. Just extremely disciplined coming out for Angry Guy on High Voltage. Now, Drogon taking about 230 points of damage in that T-54 lightweight. We still have Blue Boys captain up in that nice position that he got boosted to. David, walk me through as Drogon's getting some more damage here. Do you think Angry White Guy's position, obviously maybe it was over there to spot him or to go through to kind of keep Refuse Gaming from coming? But I was talking about before, Blue Boys in the position that favors the eastern side cap. Do you think Angry White Guy might have been there to try to scare Refuse Gaming and send him back on the eastern side, or was he there just clearly just to get some spotting information?
He is there clearly to mess with their heads a little bit, but keep everything lit the whole time so that High Voltage doesn't need to move. I don't think they're trying to push them into any sort of cap. I think it's just kind of irrelevant to them. They're making sure that they can't use the north cap, I think is the best way to put it. Angry Guy finally going down. Rude figuring it out over time. Probably being like, guys, I know you said you shot at that bush enough, but I don't believe you did enough, and I'm in a 12T. I can dump 6 into it, making this quick connection, taking out Angry Guy, and probably breathing a sigh of relief, but now looking at the clock and realizing he spent way too much time trying to sort that out. It's not over yet, though.
Yeah, Brood Awakening gonna start applying some cap pressure there on the side of Refuse Gaming. Now let's see how High Voltage responds, as all the members still just sitting back there, letting some fires fly, letting some shots fly in the direction of Brood Awakening. Nothing connecting yet. We have, it looks like Anfield getting a little bit of damage respond from him on Memory. He was in the center road. Ampro getting some damage as well. We have over on the left-hand side EC3 in a good position, laying some good fire down whenever High Voltage tries to pop up and try and take down Rude Awakening and get some cap pressure. But, David, in this position High Voltage is in, do they just need to take all their tanks and push over the side, or do you think we're going to see a flank coming out from them? All
they need to do is spot the cap somehow and then reset. They've got plenty of time on their side. As we previously discussed, where Blue Boys is, cannot... Oh, never mind. He's come down far enough to contribute. Where he was boosted all the way on top of that hill, their shells actually dissipate before they reach all the way to that cap, so not only can he not see that far, so the tanks don't render even if they're spotted, but he can't fire or contribute, so it's more of a defensive position. He has to come down now. Heavy 20 moving in for that critical spot. A reset coming out real soon here.
Ooh, but looks like he's going to be in some trouble as he takes a lot of damage trying to get to that spot to get the reset. There it is. We get a shot, but he's going to respond with his life. Heavy 20 going down East 53, finding that pickup, but now the resets are coming back and forth. Wall hacks, though, going to get a lot of damage on Mathix, finding Drogon over down there on the south end side, but Cool Hammer going to respond by taking wall hacks down. It is now 1:30 left on the clock. Rude Awakening looks like they're going to try to put some more cap pressure on his Amp Pro rushing forward. He's not in a good position. KT going to pick him up. again, now 3 tanks only remain for the side of High Voltage. Refuse Gaming looking doing a great job controlling this one. Let's see if High Voltage can just survive. Anfield, Blue Boys going down. Anfield and Augs Mathis are the ones that are left. E63 going to try to find him. Not looking good on High Voltage's side. Refuse going to try to clean this one up as quick as possible. Hopefully, and looking like they are going to pick up that win, the ever so needed win on Steps. Going to tie it up 2-2 as Dazzling Time finds Ampro. E63 finding Augs Mathis. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, 2-2, a good tie-up. Debatably what Refuse needed going into this next map to kind of take some weight off their shoulders. But David, you kind of have a confused look on your face there. What were you thinking about going back on that just previous battle?
It wasn't so much confused as much as I was just kind of thinking about everything that happened in that match.
Oh, okay.
You know, Heavy 20 had to make a sacrifice play to try and get that spot out, and that is typically what you use the T-37 or the 12T, what Angry Guy was in for. So while his position delayed for a lot and they got a reasonable amount of damage in, it may have been better to keep him back and use him for that final spot.
Sure.
Now, I don't know, they could have put the cap pressure on earlier. Ultimately, they just got outshot. They didn't get enough damage in. Some of the angles, let's go to the stats, because the position that one of Refuse Gaming guys, or Refuse was in, should have done a lot of damage. Dazzling Time, 18 shots, 10 hits, 10 penetrations for nearly 2,500. Wow. You know, I almost picked him, but instead I picked E63 M6, who also did fairly well with 1,600. Everybody else contributing quite a bit. Rude Awakening getting his 1 kill against Angry Guy, killing off his fellow 12T. Just all the way over here on the left side, nobody breaking 1,000 at all. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of spots you got. The shots couldn't have been there for them to take very many of them, but a lot of them not penetrating or missing entirely.
Sure.
You know, none of them are really bouncing more than twice, so it looks like they just didn't have very clear shots, or they were missing them completely even though they had shots to make. So perhaps just really great positions by Refuse Gaming. T-54 lightweights are low to the ground, haul down in a lot of spots, so they're working it pretty well. I think if they were able to squeeze in a boost over there, it would have been even better. That spot that we've seen the M44 Augs Mathis pushed into, if you can get other tanks up there, and I haven't driven around there myself to know quite how well a T-54 would fit up there, but the angle can fire down very far into where the defense is. And that's why
the valley?
Yeah, into the eastern side where defense usually sets up. That's why they put the M44 there, because his arc would make it a little easier for him to hit the T-32 and whatnot. But I'm not sure if Ox got to practice it a lot. Anytime you have a drastic change in elevation to your artillery, your reticle and kind of how everything fires are very off. You know, it's parabolic, right? So if one side is higher than the other, it causes all sorts of havoc where the drop time is a lot longer on the other side of your parabola. Am I getting too advanced geometry for you guys here? That's not even that advanced.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're into our next battle. Tied up 2-2. High Voltage Refuse Gaming on Lakeville. This will be interesting to watch as we're into it. We're going to have High Voltage on the defense, Refuse Gaming on the attack. David, walk us through what we got for tanks.
High Voltage with a 5100, 3 IS-3s, T-54 lightweight, 2 T-54 lightweights, sorry, a T-37. Meanwhile, Refuse Gaming with 3 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and a T-21. So far, Lakeville.
Yeah. No, I want to talk about this.
Go ahead.
The last time we saw this map, we saw both teams kind of being very indecisive as they battled their way through it. A lot of long games kind of drawn out. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how both of these teams, you know, maybe incorporate their own plays, as we haven't seen Lakeville last week at all. These were actually in the qualifiers where we saw, I believe, the first time. But High Voltage now pushing in here, and Drogon and E63 going for that center road. David, just kind of talk to me. How important is that center road on the side of offense?
It's absolutely critical if you want to put on any sort of cap pressure in the western side, which Refuse Gaming is setting themselves up fairly well for. If they get enough into that line to prevent High Voltage from going back, they can cap them out, or at least make them pay extremely heavily for coming back. However, it looks like High Voltage is already on top of that. They're heading it off before it happens. I've heard teams discuss Lakeville as a city map, is what they call it, because they consider that that the city we just saw everything. It's such a critical fight. However, Refuse Gaming either just not interested in getting into that fight, or they firmly believe that the southern half of it is advantageous to the north, or perhaps a little bit of tank lineup changes. But they are relatively even, so it could just be a strategy, or they are supremely concerned about positions in there. Like you said, I'm very interested to see how these teams play it, because they clearly have put more thought into it than some of the strategies we've seen before. Not a bad split. Rude Awakening and company getting ready to come up to 1-2. I don't know if that's going to work out, but we will find out very soon.
And one thing that I've definitely learned while displaying, by myself on this map is this valley is so dangerous to push. There's not a lot of good cover for the team coming on top, and if you can set some tanks back as a choke point, as Wu's captain and Alex Mathis are doing, it really does kind of hinder any team coming through. They just have to take a little more time probably than they hope. Some shots coming out on these IS-3s. Nothing connecting. Alex Mathis with a beautiful shot into the side of Cool Hammer, but he's getting some return on top of that hill. He's going to have to fall back. He's backing out. Memory Leak in the T-54 pushing by himself solo through the city. Drogon and E63 all spotted, and E63 taking a good chunk of damage as he's on that center road, responding a little bit to Heavy 20 in that IS-3. But it does look as if Refuse Gaming just kind of made their way right over here. Cool Hammer trying to maybe gonna not applying cap pressure quite yet. Sublime Banana taking a little bit of damage as he crosses his way. There we go. The cap pressure is on, and now we see High Woltage coming through, trying to respond. E63 and Drogon coming behind, but Memory Leak finding a good pickup on Erguy from behind. A beautiful time, but now it seems that High Woltage is getting sandwiched here. They're going to be a lot of trouble as Refuse Gaming starts turning the heat on. Cool Hammer, though, getting extremely low, dropping down. Heavy 20 will pick him up, but now shots coming through. 1-to-1 exchange. KT finding wall hacks, getting decimated. Good focus fire there. Sublime Banana in this IS-3. Anfield, though, responding, getting Rude Awakening. T-54 Blue Boys and IS-3 Sublime Banana duking it out 1v1 here. But now the members of Refuse Gaming coming through 4-5 now in favor of Refuse Gaming. Anfield getting dropped 527 points of health in the IS-3. Now getting below half, getting tracked, using the repair, but it might not be enough. But Alex Mathis, a good pickup on Sublime Banana to tie it back up 4-4. But the health is in favor of Refuse Gaming, only by about 500 though. If the shots can come through for High Woltage, they will be picking up. Blue Boys, a beautiful kill on the side there from taking down Drogon Pro, now backing off. He is on the reload. Memory Leak going to be the next focus. 614 points of damage. He is backing out there. KT though responding, finding Anfield. It's a 3v3 back and forth on the Cedar Totter. Blue Boys captain finding Memory Leak now 2-3 in favor of High Woltage. E63 and KT are the only ones remaining. A T-54 lightweight and an IS-3 against two T-54 lightweights and an IS-3 on the side of High Woltage. Alex Mathis finding E63, and now just KT against three members of Refuse Gaming. KT is going to have to pull out a miracle here to come back from this one. A good shot going through, but now one more shot away from taking down KT. Blue Boys captain picking it up, and High Woltage with a beautiful victory there on our first match of Lakeville. David, walk me through what happened there, because it looked as if Refuse Gaming had it. They picked up Angry Guy coming from the side. They surrounded High Woltage. Walk me through what you saw happening in that crazy fight there, because High Woltage came out on top.
Yeah, so as you said, there was a sandwich coming out. Now, yeah. High Woltage made a great call. They recognized they were being flanked. They took everything they had, and they just shoved it through the other side. So try and get an isolation on something to even up the amount of damage they're going to take from behind, perhaps leaving a tank a little bit further back to watch them and to pelt anything that came down the 4 line would have been wise. Okay. But they got on it very quickly. Possibly could have gone on it a little faster. Ultimately, I can keep detailing this, but what would really help as we go into the stats, there's a couple different things that are very important to cover.
Great. Yeah, let's check it out.
So as we get into here, the most important thing here that actually kept Refuse in the fight, and there wouldn't have been a fight if this didn't happen, is Tofu Smurf. 6 shots, 4 direct hits, 2 penetrations. So out of his 6, only 2 mattered. Now, if he had gotten in all 6 to count during that original isolation and push, or gotten in a position to hammer the guys who were coming down the 4 line, it would have been a totally different story. It would have been a landslide in High Voltage's favor. But as it is now, Heavy 20 did a lot of the carrying, a lot of just crazy positioning going on there. Sure. And that is one of those things, it's one of the hardest things to do, is when everything goes to chaos like that, and you don't have a line to keep discipline and go through that. Whoop. KT equaling those numbers with his tank, and just all around, everybody putting up ridiculous numbers in this battle, aside from, it looks like Coolhammer, Rude Awakening, Angry Guy, and Tofu Smurf. Everybody else putting up quite a bit. Just a great fight.
Yeah.
Great fight all around. And it's not like some of the fights we've seen in so far where they've been chaotic, and I kind of couldn't really get behind it. These ones, there was just a lot of great positioning happening, not a lot of running away, people knowing when they're in a good spot, some very solid target selection. And we could honestly, we could probably go back and look at that replay a lot, and I could keep pointing out different things, different great plays that illustrate how these guys are pros. But we're starting off the next battle.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting to it. 7 seconds of High Voltage versus Refuse Gaming coming in on Lakeville. Our second battle on Lakeville. High Voltage on defense, Refuse Gaming on offense. David, walk us through the tanks.
Quickly because I talked way too long, an AMX 5100, 2 IS3s, a T32, an AMX 1390, a T54 lightweight, and a T37 coming up for High Voltage. Meanwhile, Refuse Gaming with 3 IS3s, 3 T54 lightweights, and a T37 on offense.
Speed read of the tanks. Nicely done, David. Now it seems as if we kind of have, it looks like a similar strat coming out from the beginning of Refuse Gaming here. Some shots coming through, though, against Rude Awakening, but nothing connecting here. Only, looks like EC3 and Drogon going back into that side, that center lane. A very good spread out for High Voltage back in the back. Angry Guy kind of pushing up. David, it looks like they're going for this this city cap now instead of the other one. How do you think this is going to change High Voltage's response?
High Voltage is already set up the way they need to be to handle any sort of solo push or YOLO push. I don't think anybody's going to be pushing anywhere by themselves in this match. Drogon and E63 M6 back in the middle. Now, last time I don't feel like they made High Voltage pay enough for crossing back across the field, and that is what they're there for. Had they done that, that very well likely would have been a different battle. You can kind of see from their positions there in D4-5. Now there's a little bit better places to be, but they're a little bit more of a risk, and they need to be spotting everybody coming across that 4-5 line and shooting them from here all the while. They're taking some fire from the southeast. All of this is normal, even in pub matches. Right now, it's really on Refuse Gaming to find the angle to get in there. They know enough about where High Voltage is to make an educated guess. Probably try and either shove some more stuff down the 4 or the 1-2 while holding back their heavies in the east. That would be a very, well, the smartest play they can make. I mean, it's hard to talk about what goes on here in Lakeville because it's a lot of bad options from offense, if you ask me, unless you get it going very quickly. However, what they're pushing, getting ready to do now, as long as they commit hard with all 4 of these light tanks, they do not put on any brakes, and they have faith that their original spots are still accurate, they can plow right through the 1-2, put on some cap pressure, force High Voltage to go west, and as they start coming back west, using only maybe one guy from Refuse to spot them. As they start coming back west, these heavy tanks from Refuse come in behind them and shoot them the whole way up. That's pretty much the best you're going to get out of it from these positions, as long as you have the timing right and you do everything quickly and efficiently. It could work. Here it goes.
That's why I remember Leaky is the one who is being spotted. They're running through onto that side. Looks like coming through against those 2 members of High Voltage. Blue Boys captain Anox Mathis. Blue Boys taking a little bit of damage. Memory League going to get some too, but they do have the overmatch, as you were saying, David. The 4v2, the T54 and the AMX 1390 have to get out of there. They're on the run. Drogon missing a shot as they come through. Let's see if anyone else can connect it. It looks like they're actually going to make it to safety. And over here, up on this other side, we have the 3 IS3s pushing in through the city. A very spread out fight here coming to the side. And again, High Voltage looks like they're about to be sandwiched, as on either side of them, Refuse Gaming has been set up. Anfield, amazing crossfire going in on that IS3. He has to back up behind. Drogon coming through. Wallhack's taking a little bit of damage. Sublime Banana getting extremely low. Tofu Smurf getting a beautiful shot. One more shot, and he will go down. Heavy 20, though, finding Sublime Banana IS3. A good pickup for High Voltage to kind of relieve some of that stress. But here's the answer. Wallhack's in that T32. One more shot, and he will go down. The question is, will Refuse get it before he can get out? Yes, Drogon picks him up in that T54 lightweight. And now, with double cap pressure coming out on the side of Refuse Gaming, looks like they're going to get the resets over on the side. KT getting low, getting a shot on Anfield, going to miss his shot. Oxmath is firing on Drogon. He's going to try to flush Anfield and that IS3 out. 35 seconds, though. counting down. High Voltage looks like they need to find this fight over here against Cool Hammer and KT before they can find the respawn. Some resets coming through, which is nice for the side of High Voltage on defense. They just need to keep holding it off. Blue Boys in that AMX 1390, and Alex Mathis going through, but E63 finding Anfield over on the side in that IS3 behind the house. Alex Mathis in a little bit of trouble as he tries to get out of there. Drogon bouncing a shot. KT getting a beautiful shot from behind him. Memory League picking him up. Now only 4 tanks remain on the side of High Voltage, and the cap pressure is ticking down. 29 seconds. Refuse Gaming just trying to hold out. Not trying to hold out, just trying to end this one, putting as much pressure against High Voltage as they can. Heavy 20 finally picking up KT, and now only Cool remains over on that side. Tofu Smurf picking him up. They now have 16 seconds to get over to this cap and reset it. The question is, will they have enough time? IS3 is being very slow. It looks like it's going to be up to Blue Boys captain in this AMX 1390 to come around this corner. He has full shots. One shot goes on Blue Boys. He's looking for the one that matters. He's going to get the shot off. He does. No, he does not. Drogon finding Blue Boys captain before it down, and the cap timer has run out. Refuse Gaming getting a victory against High Voltage there. Back and forth now, tied up 3-3. David, that was a messy fight. Lots were going on all over the place.
I mean, while it was messy, I'm becoming more and more impressed with Refuse Gaming right now. That is a very balanced strategy. It's smart. So much of what they did is smart. Now, I think they could have gotten a little bit more out of their heavy unit there in the east. And once that kind of didn't go right, like some High Voltage escaped and went for, and then there wasn't really enough to collapse and turn on the heavies there. Perhaps, if High Voltage... No, because even then it still doesn't work, because then they just get capped out.
Ooh,
it's very smart plays. Just awkward for everybody once everything kind of kicked off. A lot of back and forth, but it happened for good reasons. And I don't mind a certain amount of chaos when it makes sense in the grander view. Okay. And that was just good. Heavy 20 putting up nearly 2,000 damage.
Wow.
Tofu Smurf about 1,700. I saw him go for a ram kill there that got deflected in one of the most confusing ways. It looked like it should have been an actual ram kill to me, but it seemed like the guy who was trying to ram turned at the last second or something, and it took most of it in a rotation. I don't know. It was crazy, though. I started chuckling a little bit there because I know Tofu was hoping that didn't show up on camera. KT again with another 2,000, a lot of damage. A lot of damage. Memory League, 1,500. Drogon Pro, 1,500. All of these people, I mean, KT... E63, why you do this to me? I picked you. KT perhaps arguing to take your spot on my fantasy draft. But either way, just a great match overall. I'm very happy to be seeing this kind of gameplay, this kind of strategy, this kind of player skill all manifesting itself. I'm sure High Voltage is getting a little frustrated with how close this is. Maybe not even expecting it to be this close. Sure. But this is the final test that we needed to see at a High Voltage to know whether they're as great as they were looking like they could be.
Okay.
They have to lose one, and then we have to see how they come back from that. Okay. Or in this case, if they get down to a 4-4 draw or anything that gets really close and then they win, it's a similar test. It's how do people survive when things start going wrong? How does their team manage? Do they tear themselves apart, or do they come together and learn? And that is the hallmark of what a good team is. And it's hard. It's just there's no way to tell until we actually see it happen. Another match coming out, or another battle coming out right now.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see it happen. High Voltage versus Refuse Gaming. Now all tied up 3-3 on Lakeville. We have Refuse Gaming now on the defense, High Voltage on the offense. David, what do we got for our tanks?
High Voltage with 150, 100, 5 T54 lightweights, and an M44. I don't know about that because I haven't seen the arty work so well on Lakeville yet. But if anybody can do it, it's Alex Mathis, the Germinator, as he's known.
That is right. That
with
is
an
right.
IS-3, a T-32, 4 T-54 lightweights, and an AMX-12T.
Now, it sees as Refuse Gaming, look, they're not even worried about this city cap as they're sending all of their forces, it looks like, over on this western cap, which is appropriate because High Voltage in almost mirroring Refuse Gaming, sending all of their forces in. Alex Mathis going to go up probably over the A2, A1 line to get a beautiful shot. Here's the thing about that RD on this map, that giant hill kind of separates battles between, almost splits the map into two different maps. So the RD really has to make sure he's on the correct side of where his team's going to be fighting, and it looks like he's going to position. So we will see High Voltage pushing down against this 1-2 line. David, I mean, walk me through. High Voltage, like I say, they do have a plan and they're going to enact it, but is Refuse Gaming set up for what's about to happen?
Yep, there is not a very good entrance into where Refuse is right now if you're trying to push from the 1-2 or the 4. High Voltage really needs to see this before they do any sort of crazy push, or it's going to cost them, and it's going to cost them big. Now, the big thing is whether Heavy 20 and Ant Pro, or Ant, whatever we want to call them these days, can make Sublime Banana and Cool Hammer pay too much for crossing when this actual fight kicks off. Because you can push into the 1-2 with those light tanks, and as long as you cause some sort of stalemate that ties up the light tanks from Refuse Gaming, and you get picks on Cool or in Sublime Banana or enough to kind of reassess and go someplace else, then it's worth it. But right now, they need to get something going quickly, because if they have to pull out and go someplace else, they don't have the time.
Sure.
The East was far more open than I think they expected it to be. I'm wondering why teams aren't doing so much of the early scouting runs on this map as used to be done when it was played. Perhaps their spawn points just don't favor it. That would probably make sense, actually. But right now, High Voltage is looking for an in. They just don't have it. They need to get vision for Oxmathis. They need something, anything, any intel, any opening to kick this off. Because otherwise, I'm looking at another 4.5 minutes of them just kind of hoping something happens.
Blue Bliss Captain getting a little shot off there. Nothing connecting, though. No one spotted on the side of Refuse Gaming. Now, David, just kind of talk to me again. We're talking about Oxmathis and that M54 artillery, how important it is. You sacrifice those health points to get something with long-range damage, but if you're not spotting for him, it's kind of a waste. And talking about High Voltage on the attack, the longer time that the more time that you waste, the more it favors Refuse Gaming in the defense here. Do you think that they just maybe have to send, oh, there we go, Oxmathis getting a beautiful shot onto KT on that T-54. I'm not sure if that was that a blind shot?
That is possible. I mean, where KT is it's not particularly easy to see.
Oh my gosh, Oxmathis picking up KT in the T-54, showing that he is the boss in that M44 artillery tank. A beautiful pickup there. Oxmathis doing work. What a great opening. Let's see how High Voltage now, though, David, can use that being a tank down on the side of Refuse Gaming.
Our Artie Lord and Savior has secured a push for High Voltage. They're going to come down the 1-2 right now. Action is about to pick up. 3 minutes left. That is what they were looking for, as you said. Here we go.
That was a trigger that was pulled. Now we have these 4 T-54s just rushing right back here, trying to find the cap. E63 and Memory Leak over there luckily they got to safety just in time, and now the cap pressure has been applied. Ampro and the T-54. Now E63 taking a little bit of damage. A lot of damage coming out. High Voltage focusing on these 2 tanks. Heavy 20, Tofu Smurf now on that center road, also applying some pressure from straight on, getting shots across. Cool Hammer taking a little bit of damage over there in his IS-3. 470 as they are now moving in, trying to maybe find an overmatch straight up to the top. Memory Leak popping out, trying to get Heavy 20, but Tofu Smurf in that AMX 5100 with full rounds, getting ready to back his team about. Memory Leak taking a little bit of damage in that T-54 as they're just shooting back and forth on the reload. 46 seconds on the cap. High Voltage looks like they know what they want. Oxmathis now repositioning in that Artie in the north, trying to now help his teammate out as all the members of Refuse Gaming are kind of hovering on that 4 line on the other side of those giant mountains there. 34 seconds. 2 members now of High Voltage, and the push is in. Heavy 20 and Tofu Smurf going to come in straight on down to these 3 members of Refuse Gaming, trying to block off the road from them. Cool Hammer in the IF3 going to try to find some damage. He's poking out. Let's see if he can find someone. 14 seconds remain. There's a good reset coming out on the side of Refuse Gaming. That's exactly what they needed. But the EC3 up on top. He's getting something. Heavy 20 finds him, picks him up, and that's 2 tanks down on the side of Refuse Gaming, while all 7 of High Voltage remain. 4 seconds left, but no, 6, 20, but Refuse coming up. But Heavy 20 again, as the cap pressure going down, they're also finding kills. 13 seconds, the resets are coming through. Sublime Banana and Cool Hammer, Memory Leak, Drogon getting shots from all over the corner, but they're also picking up. Drogon finally, the first kill being found on the side of Refuse Gaming for against High Voltage, but High Voltage, beautiful response. Heavy 20 with another kill. Sublime Banana, 1 more shot away in that T-32. A minute and 22 seconds. Wall hacks finding Sublime Banana. Cool Hammer now gonna be the next target. A bounce shot goes off, but Anfield and Wall hacks, the 3 members, gonna go ahead and find him. Drogon with a minute and 10 seconds. There is nothing that he can do. 6 members against the 1 remaining from Refuse Gaming. He can't run. There is too much cap pressure. He's going to try to get resets. Not sure anything can happen. A beautiful shot coming in there against Drogon. Heavy 20 looks like he's going to be the one to try to finish this off. And this game will be going over to High Voltage. A beautiful display of attack. A beautiful display of arty skills, which we will definitely talk about. Heavy 20 picking that one up. Now 4 victories against 3 of Refuse Gaming. David, let's talk about that, because for a moment it seemed that High Voltage was stuck. They weren't going anywhere. Nothing was happening. It was a stalemate, and when that happens, the defense going down. But then, oh, who's this? What's that? Ox Mathis picking up KT in the back, setting the trigger. Walk me through then what happened after that, because that was insanity.
So a lot of people are going to be seeing their counselors about that one, talking about Ox Mathis working out those issues. Good. Just wow.
Yeah.
We're going stats.
So,
we're going
right,
stats.
let's go straight
I was going to
stats.
say, good Lord, look at these numbers.
Well, let's look
Wall
at them.
hacks, 2,500 damage in C54 lightweight, which, you know, he can donate half of that to Ox Mathis for making that window. You know, there's a possibility that tank was lit. I expect that he was lit at some point in time, but it's not exactly a hard place to intuit that he may be. But either way, Ox Mathis, 9 shots, 5 direct hits, or so 5 hits, 4 penetrations, 1 splash damage. That is ridiculous. That is just absurd. I saw. Not only do we start off that original fight with all that. We'll go through this real quick. Drogon Pro doing a great job, nearly 2,000 damage, and Cool Hammer doing very well as well with 1,600. Heavy 22,000. Wall hacks we already covered, but we can get back to what I was saying before. So even throughout that entire fight that was going on there, I could see that little red rainbow of death in the background. Ox Mathis just whoop,
Yeah.
boop, and he was hitting tanks the whole time they were trying to stay hull down and fire on that, and just so much going on in that fight. The 4-line battles, Ox Mathis carrying. It's just insane. It's just one of the best matches I've ever seen on Lakeville under any format. But right now, my opinion about this map is changing a little bit, I must say. And as we discussed in the very beginning, Ox Mathis converting me. I now believe that artillery on Lakeville is good.
My gosh, the
Good
Germinator
job.
coming in
Have the
strong. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're into our next match, our 8th battle now coming out for these two teams, High Voltage versus Refuse Gaming. Let's see. High Voltage just needing 1 more to pick up against Refuse. David, what do we got for tanks?
High Voltage with 150-100, 5 T54 lightweights and an M44. Refuse Gaming with an IS-3, a T32, 4 T54 lightweights and an AMX-12T. I am so excited to see what High Voltage is doing right now. They're getting thoroughly tested by Refuse Gaming, but they're showing some amazing survival skills getting through all this. I've never been so flabbergasted, so speechless about what I've seen on screen so often as I am right now. It's beyond strategy. The player skill that I'm seeing so far is just astounding from both sides. The strategy is there, and some of it is hit or miss. Some of it is borderline genius. But then there are these plays being made from both sides that I cannot get enough of that. I want to see more of this all season long. I expected this was going to be the match of the night. It's going to be hard to top what we've seen so far.
Absolutely.
Action already starting to kick off. Looks like Refuse is playing really far up the east side, opening themselves up to the 1-2. I don't know if that's smart, but it's happening.
Yeah, damage is coming out already. Heavy 20. Looks like he's kind of stuck here as he's getting damage across the lake and also straight in front of him. Rude Awakening and Dragon Pro putting some pressure. KT finding an early pickup for Heavy 20. Let's see if High Voltage can respond correctly as they are starting that push over on the western side, going down for that southern western cap. But Refuse Gaming, like you said, pushed up extremely far. Yeah, High Voltage. No, they're backing off. They're going to go on the way through. Looks like they're not even going for the cap. Finally, Blue Boys is the one to stay. Anfield just getting in position in that T54 lightweight. They need to get this pressure on as most of the members of Refuse Gaming on the other side. They need to take this time to set up as they now put 3 members on the cap. They know that it's now or never, but it might be too late as Refuse Gaming coming in 24 seconds now as the clock clicks down. Rude Awakening keep in mind you, and that AMX-12T coming around from the back, fully loaded and ready to go. 17 seconds now. E63 coming out. He's looking for the first shot. Let's see if he can get it and get that reset. But so many members of High Voltage, even Ox Mathis coming down to join. Resets coming through, but with all those Sancted, their points are evenly distributed. They need to do it. They need to do something now. There we go. Now the resets are coming through. Back up 20 seconds, but Coolhammer getting some response. The fires are coming out, and Rude Awakening now looks like he's about to join the fight. Damage coming across the board. E63 taking good amount of damage. Cool taking some damage as well. This is not looking good for High Voltage. They had a plan, but it's not looking as if they did it in time. KT finding another pickup against Tofu Smurf, and now Rude Awakening setting up from the back. Looks like he wants to just get some shots in. Ox Mathis is the target. He's down, drop below half. He takes 2 more shots. He needs to find cover. Let's see if he does. He does. Just squeaking out there in time, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough as Drogon finding Ant Pro. Members of High Voltage dropping like flies. Refuse Gaming gonna clean this one up. A great defense here on the side of Refuse, as only one tank is now dropped. Wall Hacks and Blue Boys captain. Wall Hacks going down. AC3 fighting that kill. KT finding another one against Blue Boys captain, and E63 picking up Ox Mathis, tying the game up. Gonna go into this tiebreaker. Refuse holding in there, pushing it out 4-4. Now, David, we talked about something that you pointed out. Refuse pushing a lot of members up to the north there, really overextending.
Yeah.
It looks like High Voltage just didn't respond quick enough.
So first off, they got that pick on, I believe, Heavy 20 in the middle.
Yep.
And
right
that was huge. That was very great play. Pushing so far up in the northeast, I'm not so sure about. I believe it's trying to make sure that their middle push was safe.
Okay.
Trying to maybe isolate somebody if there was some sort of split push going on. But either way, a proper response. High Voltage had a chance to put as many on cap as possible and try and get it done.
Yeah.
But they hesitated on that, and then they tried it late. And that you don't want to try and cap fast that late, because what happens there is exactly
cover,
what we saw.
You get picked
you
apart.
You commit to it too much, and then you have all your tanks in one place to die. They may have been able to come back. Unlikely, but they may have been able to come back from a T-54 deficit. Either way, I saw Ox Mathis click somebody for like 941.
Right before he went down.
Like right through the screen and straight into his face. That was incredible. He's got to be firing heat out of that thing. Blue Boys, and not a whole lot of stats really worth covering aside from saying KT doing about 1,700 and E63 M6 earning me my points. Thank you for getting back in the battle, buddy.
You finally listened to it.
1650 coming out of him. But overall, just a proper response from Refuse.
Yeah.
A very smart, aggressive play to set themselves up for what is an easy win after that.
Sure.
But ran it really close to getting capped out. I
Right.
think Anfield was off cap for maybe 5, 6 seconds.
Okay.
So it would have gotten it very close. But either way, I actually just heard Refuse got to choose their side in the tiebreaker, which is Ruinberg today.
And they chose defense.
And they chose defense.
Ooh.
That is not good for High Voltage, who wisely
took a timeout.
takes a timeout. They really need to sit down, think about exactly what they need to do here, come up with something that is not obvious, or something they are extremely comfortable with, because Refuse is pointing out to everybody they are not to be trifled with. They're not going to fall for your little gimmicky tricks. I believe it is Rude Awakening who is calling. He's been doing it for a while. I'm seeing a lot of promise in his decisions that are being made here, a lot of talent on both sides. This is all I could have hoped for in this series, and more. With a dash of Ox Mathis amazing on top. The Germinator. Just
owning his name.
God. The last time I saw artillery played that well was either Relics, which there's a big joke, the long-running joke that Relics is bad. It's a player who's on my team. He's our artillery guy.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
But he wasn't. That was kind of the other side of the joke, right?
Okay.
Is Relics is bad while he's like one-shotting tanks fairly often. But the all-powerful Artie standard to the top was always Eclipse from Na'Vi, and the guy just did stuff in that tank that was just not right. Every time he fired his artillery, and then this is like stale information at this point. This is over a year ago, but there are situations I only had to play against him once or twice.
Okay.
Overall, I think once when he still had the artillery. And it was just not good. I'd never been shot so accurately, so fast before. I mean, sometimes the match plays out, and you kind of get a sense for where people are in positions.
Sure.
But it was like 25, no, not 25. It was probably like 45 seconds into the match, and Eclipse just, there you are, body contact.
That's
I was
insane.
like, that is, no, no more. But Ox Mathis proving he has a lot of skill in that as well.
Yeah.
He hit a tank on the run earlier.
That was beautiful.
The timeout should be coming to a close. I'm so excited to see this. I cannot wait to see. No matter who wins this, they've definitely earned it.
Sure.
But if you ask me, coming off, if High Voltage is able to get through this situation they're in, not go on tilt, and to fight their way through an offense on Ruinberg in this kind of pressure situation, then they are worth as much praise as everybody has lauded on them. But either way, Refuse is coming out of this match with a lot more respect than they had before.
Sure, and also we were talking about this is the match that we want to look for, both teams not losing a single match and really focusing on High Voltage. You said if they were in this tiebreaker situation, it's going to be kind of on them to see what the rest of maybe the season's going to look like. So keep an eye out for them, but also, again, Refuse doing an amazing job in response to this. One thing I just want to say, I want to make a t-shirt for the Germinator, and maybe every time something sick happens, just rip open just the Germinator, just right here, just standing up, boasting it proud. Ox Mathis doing a great job. Let's see if he pulls out an M44 this time. We're not sure, but we will be in literally a couple seconds because, ladies and gentlemen, we're into our tiebreaker game, High Voltage versus Refuse Gaming, 4-4 on Ruinberg. David, let's walk us through those tanks. What do we got?
High Voltage with an AMX 5100, 2 IS-3s, an AMX 1390, 2 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Refuse Gaming with 2 5100s, an IS-3, 3 T-54 lightweights, and an MT-25. This is incredible. I like both of these lineups. I can see a lot of what you can do with both of these lineups. The biggest vulnerability for Refuse Gaming is their 5100s. If you can catch one of them and kill it before it dumps its clip, you're in serious business on High Voltage's side. High Voltage wisely starting out looking like they're getting ready to go to a southeastern cap, which I believe is the better one overall, but sending Tofu Smurf in the lone 5100 up over the top. If he waits long enough during this southeastern pressure and he doesn't get spotted, he's going to F-line. But either way, where he is rolling the dice, but it could pay off big time. Big time.
And now, as you were saying, we talked about earlier, you thought that this this eastern cap was the cap that is a lot easier to defend if you have some IS-3s and those good, kind of
to assault.
To assault, sorry, going through. It looks like High Voltage is doing just that, but we already have a fight going off. Ruin Awakening being absolutely decimated there. Cool Hammer, though, finding a white guy, but Heavy 20 responding with Ruin Awakening. A 1-for-1 exchange so far, as we have all of these members down here for Refuse Gaming. David, walk me through how beautiful of a pickup that was for Cool Hammer.
Just great focus fire from Refuse Gaming there. A solid trade. They got what they were looking for. Refuse got what they were looking for. Blue Boys Heavy 20 and Ox Mathis stacking up behind the wreck of their fallen comrade, which is smart. Tofu Smurf in now a very sketchy situation. Double cap pressure from Wallhacks. Christian.
Let's see, Wallhacks taking a lot of damage, and 266 coming up. They get the reset. Now they're backing up. We have Drogon, Memory Leak, NKT popping up and down over this hill to try to find the attacks when they can. Now Dazzling Time finding Tofu Smurf. We have a little battle going on in the city here. T-54 versus an AMX 5100. Tofu Smurf, though he's caught off a little bit off guard as he has to turn his turret here. And let's see if he can do the amount of damage is needed. No, he's taking another chunk of damage without doing any return. Finally getting one more shot off. There it is. But KT coming to the aid of his teammate. Refuse collapsing on Tofu Smurf. David, you called it. He was not in a good position, and it looks like he will go down without taking anyone down on the side. Let's see how High Voltage can respond to this. Memory League unloading this clips against Heavy 20 and the AMX 3100. Both of them surrendering, but Memory League picking up Heavy 20, and now High Voltage not looking like they're in a good position. Refuse Gaming turning it on, only losing one tank. Now 4 remaining for High Voltage as they try to push up against Delta Village, but not looking good. Dazzling Time finding another member of High Voltage, getting Wallhacks down on the cap. Anfield going down to Cool Hammer, and now just 2 remain against almost the entire team of Refuse Gaming as they're pushing in. They smell victory. They want to take it. 4-4. Still have plenty of time to get this. Ox Mathis getting extremely low. Blue Boys captain now one more shot. It looks like High Voltage going down. Refuse Gaming picking up the tiebreaker match. 4-4, taking a 5th victory. Congratulations to Team Refuse getting a decisive victory against High Voltage there. David, wow, Great. Whoa.
Refuse Gaming, proving to everybody
That we're wrong.
that they should not have counted them out before.
Yeah.
Just huge battles all across the board.
My
The only thing I have to
gosh.
say to that is all aboard the Refuse Gaming hype train.
That's right. I mean, now maybe Germinator will still be there, but it's going to be Germinator and then
There's
Refuse
that.
Gaming
I mean,
on top. So there's going to be both of them.
There's definitely always the Germinator. We can get.
let's talk-
There's no point in looking at stats,
No, that was
honestly.
a decisive
As we
victory.
saw Tofu Smurf getting caught out, Refuse making a great play, risking
Yeah.
a T-54, going into the open like that.
Yeah.
Knowing very full well that Tofu Smurf does not have the depression to shoot him without poking out enough to where his teammates can get there. What had to happen right there for High Woltage is they needed to recognize that Tofu Smurf was going to get annihilated, and that there was nothing.
And they should have just pushed.
They should have gotten in position to either take out that T-54 quickly
Sure.
or find something else. A lot of tanks were shifting over for Refuse at the time to help secure that kill on Tofu Smurf, but
Yeah.
really they just need to hold him back longer. That T-54 making a great play. Who was that? I think it was Dazzling Time, right? I believe it was Dazzling Time that
I think
was
so.
able to find him. Either way, just a lot of great calls coming out from both teams there. Not so much in the last part of the battle for High Woltage, but keep your heads high, boys. That was a close series. Some mistakes made from both sides. They couldn't close it out, which from the offensive side of Ruinberg is
Hard to do.
quite difficult.
Sure.
But overall, just great matches from Refuse Gaming.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take away from them and say that High Voltage made mistakes
threw it.
and
No.
that's why it happened. Not at all. You made them make those mistakes. Just fantastic.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Refuse Gaming, that amazing tiebreaker victory against High Voltage, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up next, we have Team Rival versus Synergy. Don't go anywhere. Match number 3 right after this.